let's now have a look in Unit 1 of the Human Resources Certification Institute's course. We have here a topic which is extremely important, mainly for those people who want now to take a very high level in human resources, because as soon as you are discussing on CXO level, it becomes more and more strategic. The operational part is bigger when you are on a lower level, and the more you go up in your career ladder, the less you are operational and the more you become strategical. The unit has different chapters. We have here, first of all, like introduction into strategic HR. That is starting with like corporate governance, which is a big topic today. During the globalization became more important for all international companies. It's about compliances. It's about integrity. It's about ethics. And this is something which all the big companies need to show today, even to get into business with other international companies. We're talking about policies and procedures there. This is guiding the actions of the organization, giving the employees confidence that they are on the right track in terms of behavior. We're talking about functions, how to set up an HR department in meaningful functions. We are talking about competencies that are needed for HR people generally, but as well in the various roles that HR people are working in. And we talk about HR finance, very important, mainly in terms of budgeting. We will come back on that later. Then next chapter is the organizational strategy. Every company needs to have a mission. The mission says, what is the purpose of our organization? What are the goals long term? Why have we been founded at all? That's the mission. And for this mission, we need the right strategy. We need to select the strategy which says us how to become successful and how to be like successful against the competition as well, because we're then obviously not the only company offering something on the market. We're talking about company environment analysis. How does the economical, the legal, and the political, and the cultural environment impact our business? We have to analyze that, because that has then to be considered when we go into the business plan. And there in the business plan, we then line out how our actions should look like. We learn you how to write a meaningful business plan. Number 3, HR controlling and evaluation, and again budgeting, as I said before, very important, because the estimation of the future costs is very important. And if you want to be friend of the CFO, you better take care that you do a nice budgeting, because that's one of the big frictions always between HR and finance. It's very difficult in a human resources environment to do a budget, because we talk here about people, and people are unfortunately not always measurable, and they behave sometimes not like expected. That's why budgeting is not that easy. It has to be always in line with the commercial responsibles of the departments, like production or like sales or like marketing or whatever. You have to, together with them, calculate the budget for their personnel. Then we have the metrics, like workforce analytics. It's the evaluation of success versus people. What did the people contribute to the success? You can calculate and evaluate that. We will show you how you do that. We're talking about KPIs. KPI is a very nice tool for reporting purposes to the management. You can, on one page, you can collect the most important KPIs, and well-trained and intelligent boss, which your boss hopefully is, can have a look on it, and in one glance he sees everything which is important. We show you how to install like a reporting page like this with the most important KPIs of human resources. We will talk about scorecards, or dashboards, how they call it sometimes. They are documenting and tracking the defined metrics. And then quite an important question as well is, what kind of functions of HR can be outsourced? Because quite often the HR department is not so strong to perform everything needed. So there are some things you can outsource. We will show you what is meaningful outsourcing, and as well what does it cost. Now we're coming to chapter number 4, technology. That's where we have the biggest developments over the last years. What technology is possible to do today is incredible. If you have a real valuable human resources information system, you can do a lot over that system, and it's very important to have the right system. And what we do in this chapter is we are talking about how to evaluate which system is useful for your company, and then of course costs against benefits of the system, and in the end we even show you how to go into negotiations to buy such a system. HR portals is the door where the employees can go in personally, have impact on their files. You remember in the early days you had a paper file somewhere in the HR office. If you moved to your apartment, you went to knock on the door and, can I tell you I have a new address? And then the nice lady would change the address. Today you go over the portal in your own file and you change the address, and you change a bank account, and you change whatever you need to change in your personal file. It even today allows that you have direct communication with your superior in order to, for instance, discuss about management by objectives. Did the objectives change? Did the environment change? There are a lot of things you can do over the HR portals, and your job as HR is to define what is accessible over the HR portal for the individual. Very important. Employee communication, something which is quite often underestimated. If the people who are writing all those beautiful memos would know how often it's not even read it, just directly in the drawer, or if worse, in the round filing system on the floor. So how to communicate briefly and precisely, and how to change the right tone that your communication is going to be read as well, is the topic we're talking about there. Then today as well, virtual teams, again with the new technology it is possible that you have a project team. One is sitting in Abu Dhabi, one is sitting in Singapore, one is sitting in London, and one is sitting in Washington, and they have to work together all over the technology tools. So how to manage teams like that? That is different than to manage a team sitting in the same room. We look at that, how to do that. Number 5, environments. As you are with your company not alone on the globe, we need chapter number 5, environments. This is the impact of the world around your company on your company. So we're talking about different sectors which have impact. Inside your organization you have different sectors, and outside your organization you have different sectors. We will show them up. We will learn you how to scan and evaluate the influence of these economical and political forces on your company. And then, very important, the third step, how do you align your strategy accordingly in order to kind of balance this impact if wished. Chapter number 6, organization, design and development, function versus product. There we show how departments are built and the advantages and disadvantages of department building. Centralized versus decentralized, that's always meaning as well authority versus delegation, or control versus autonomy. So that always changes all over the development of a company. Sometimes they decentralize and the next CEO comes and centralizes everything again until the next comes and do the country again. So that's quite often the case. Typical restructuring exercise. Formal versus informal, that's showing the integration mechanisms to achieve the coordination between the different departments. We will show you 5 methods how to do that. And then the famous and quite well-known matrix structure. How do you work over the cross with different responsibilities and different reporting lines, straight lines, dotted lines, again, advantages, disadvantages. And then, last but not least, evaluation of effectiveness. We have here various different methods to do things, like for instance the department development, like for instance as we had before here, centralized, decentralized. What we want to know is what is your company's most effective form, most effective structure to work in, and that we can evaluate, and we show you how. Interesting point number 7, culture, climate and culture. We show you how to develop and maintain a positive culture. We even show you how to change the culture. Sometimes it has to be done because you have, for instance, new owners who want to change the culture. You have, for instance, a situation, post-merger and acquisition situation after M&A. You have two cultures. We have to fit them together, which is quite often a new third culture together. We show you how to manage that. Another important topic in this chapter is creativity and innovation. Without innovation and without creativity, you become stagnant. When you are stagnant, you will finally lose against your competition. And we show you how to support, as HR, the creativity and innovation within an organization. We're coming now to number 8, global HR management. Globalization, a big topic. The world is shrinking. The organizations have to adapt, and HR is playing a key role in that. The impact of the globalization means that you have to look at different HR structures for your own department. We show you how to approach these problems with your HR department. The impact is enormous. You have a typical flow of human capital in the globalized world. That means people are moving around, people are more flexible, people become more mobile, and what we call the war for talents started, and you have to take care that you first of all get the talents and that you second of all can keep the talents. Communication and language, how to overcome these barriers. Cultural differences, we will explain the different values and norms and how to adapt. And then laws and regulations, many traps out there in the world. We will show the most dangerous ones. Chapter number 9, leadership and management theories. We will talk about the different theories and it will become highly psychological. We will explain some scientific studies about that, but again, I mean, it's for someone who has psychology as a subject in his studies, it's important, but and quite interesting as well. For us, it will be a side issue. And then the effect of leadership, the different styles of leadership have different effect, and we will show as well the difference, for instance, between a leader and a manager. So not all the big managers are good leaders, and vice versa. A very fashionable expression today is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is all about the ability to monitor emotions, but not only the emotions from others, but as well your own emotions. And we will show how to use them in a positive way. Last but not least, leadership trainings. A lot of discussions are always happening about leadership trainings. Many people say you can't train leadership as you can't train sales. It's a characteristic of a personality, and if you don't have it, you will never learn it. But we will show you that there are indeed popular methods for increasing leadership capabilities, and I tell you, some of them really work. Number 10, ethics. When this was more psychological, this becomes more philosophical. We are talking here about processes that lead to certain consequences, and we show you how to identify values and to set clear moral standards within your company. It's a typical HR topic. Number 11, HR research and analytics. Here we see the spectre of statistics. It's very figure-oriented, and it's not everybody's talent to work into that, to dive into that and become an expert in that. It's quite a dry environment. We show you different methods where you can learn a little bit how to handle that. And it's mostly about experience versus science, and we need to find out what is actually practical for a human resources department. What do we need and what do we not need? And then, of course, number 12, we will have a look on your exams. We will have a look on the content of exams. We will have a look on the weighting, which is different, which degree you're going to be tested for. And then we will train and train and train, because always have in mind the biggest and only purpose is to bring you through this exam.